Okay, well, let's make a start now.
Okay, let's get serious because tonight we have a special treat. We're going to watch 2 videos of, and I must say I do not like the word icon, but here I have to use the word icon because Joy Mills is an icon. I have no other word. She is a formidable teacher. She's a great writer, a lovely woman, and there is so much knowledge. And for me and my wife, Teresinha, and for many others, she has been so very important. Now, we all have a story to tell about joy. I will tell only one. And I think there is someone in the audience who can also tell a story about joy. And then, Herman, you're going to tell your experience. But my experience, the first experience with Joy Mills, actually was a rather painful one. I had just been with Theosophy for about 1.5 years when Ari Ritsema, at that time General Secretary of the Dutch section, approached me and said, Jan, I have some work for you to do. Joy Mills is coming over and I want you to translate her from English into Dutch. And I said yes without thinking. The subject was a subject I really didn't know so much about, Herman, because I had only been with it for a short time. It was about the skandhas. And as you know, that is not an easy subject, at least not for me.
I agree.
I love him. So that's, now you know what happens.
The reason is you don't know the Peruvian very well.
You see, now you know what happens during these coffee sessions we have in the morning. But I'll catch you later on, right? Anyway, to cut a long story short, I think Joy arrived on a Thursday, and on Thursday afternoon she gave me the text. Because there were some Dutch people who didn't speak English, and I was to translate everything into Dutch. That night I did not sleep. Perhaps those of you who were at Naarden last year, you remember that there was this little room in the corridor on the right. I think Jim was staying there last year. And in that room, I just took everything, every sentence by sentence, and I translated everything. In my head, I wrote some things down. And at 9 o'clock, and I had not slept, Joy came and the talk started. And everything went fine. Until, and those of you who know Joy, at one point she said, and now I'm going to surprise the translator and all of you here because I'm going to step out of my text. Now, I don't know if any one of you has translated, but if someone does that and you are not very well versed on the subject, and you know, Herman says this because I didn't read the Purker, then you are lost. And I tell you one thing, I think I lost about 2 kilos in 15 minutes.
By sweating, huh?
That's not funny. Yes, by sweating.
2 kilos of skandhas, yeah.
Anyway, you know, that's not the end of the story. I don't know what I was translating, and I just flew through that basement hall from one wall to the other, you know. I just didn't know what was happening to me. And at the end, when the torture had finished, Joy came up to me and she took my hand. And she said that, Jan, you did it very well, but let me give you one piece of advice. Study the skandhas a little better. Which I did. You know, I checked the Purker. He doesn't believe that. And I think I know a little bit more about it. Anyway, that is my remembrance of Joy Mills. She lives at Krotona, and those of you who know her know what I talk about. But there's another person here, and she's sitting there, and she knows Joy very well because she lives very close. And perhaps you could share with us some of your, or one of your experiences with Joy.
I can't even, I mean, I can only say what I can feel. It's funny. I'm not prepared at all. That's right. Well, I'm obviously very blessed to be able to have to live at Krotona and have such a wonderful and amazing and extraordinary neighbor as Joe Mills, and such a source of knowledge as well. What I noticed through my visits, which I'm trying to do as much as I can with my busy schedule as well, but I usually come, she doesn't hear very well. So once in a while I would come around the house and there is a big window. So I would start knocking on the window carefully to get her attention, waiting until she looks. And then when she looks into the window and she sees me, she's so happy. And so she goes and opens the door. And Joy, she's now already close to 95 years. But she has a very absolutely sharp mind. And it's incredible, very clear. And whenever you come and visit her, when I come and visit her, if we just talk about just some trivial life things, she gets tired. But if it is Secret Doctrine or Theosophy, time can just pass by. And I found it's very amazing.
Okay, that's it. Oh. Yes, is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, last month, Joke and I were in Santa Barbara, very close to Ojai, where Joey is living. And by the way, we discovered in that small 2 weeks a lot of theosophical pearls, and she was one of them. So we had made an arrangement before by email that we want to do an interview and a record of that, and video record. So that was all fine. And she said, okay, please send me the questions you have a little bit before. So I was doing that. And then we were there. And we put her in a nice position with the good light on it, etc. She looks very beautiful, you will see. And then they say, okay, well, don't worry, I will make the record. And if you want to rephrase the questions or your answer, don't worry, you can do that. We can nicely edit it. There will be no problem at all. Don't worry, don't worry. And so, okay, we start. And then I was really amazed. Because first question, you will see it yourself, just one answer without any hesitation of problem at all. Second question, all the questions, just at once. So I was quite impressed after the recording and say, okay, I will now sign the contract with you that when I'm 95, I will be in the same condition as you. So she smiles and says, okay, we have to make another appointment because next incarnation I want really to see you much earlier than now. Yeah? Because it was so, how do you say that? So impressive in person, what was so much involved of the Secret Doctrine and really the core Theosophy and so. And then the last one I had, the last question was, what is for you the most important part of the Secret Doctrine? And then she say, compassion, the Bodhisattva ideal. That is the most important thing. That is what it is going about. Yeah. So I think you will see yourself, and it was really a pleasure to take that record. And it was really true, as Olga told you, we are making a new record, and we had some conversation afterwards. There was no indication of be tired, of and so on, and so on. And I asked her, are you, no, I'm not tired, I'm not tired. I only become tired by all the trivial things. So, and that was George. So I think it is time. I must say that the quality of the video is a little bit better than what you will see on the screen. But that okay, it is fine. And the second video is quite old. Well, what is quite old? 95. And then you see that we have made a lot of progress in video recording. Yeah.
whether Theosophia is an open or closed system. You're using language that, and using a concept that is not really basic to the secret doctrine.
Okay.
Now, we have been told, for example, that only a portion of the veil has been lifted. That there are further principles, perhaps, further development of the system, which has not been revealed. And if this is only a part, then it is difficult for us to say, to categorize into open or closed.
Okay.
What we have been given are certain fundamental principles. And she's very clear about that these are propositions, working propositions that apply to everything in the manifested universe. And it's for us to develop our intuition to understand deeper levels, deeper layers of the truths that have been given to us. And why do we come to it? Why do we approach it? It's not that it's easy to understand in all of its details, but what is our purpose is to come closer to the great wisdom tradition of the ages, to understand the basis on which the whole universe is constructed and all that is within it. It seems to me that one should approach the secret doctrine in a spirit of inquiry and a spirit of reverence that we have been given here in these 2 volumes. All that could be given at that particular time. And the purpose of it was not for self-gratification, not that I will know more than you know, but the purpose was to help us understand the operation, the functioning and operation of an entire system, a manifest universe. So the purpose is that we can become, well, let's use the term bodhisattvas, that we can become enlightened beings and share that with all of life. So I always suggest in any class in the Secret Doctrine that one begins with at least a meditation on the voice of the silence, which brings one spiritually, psychologically, mentally in harmony with the purpose of the great ones, of the adept brothers. And I use the term adept brothers because fundamentally one is working with one's brothers, all mankind in the universal brotherhood of humanity. So one needs to realize, why am I studying this? In order to be a lamp, a light for others.
Correct.
To help others on the way. And that way is known as the Bodhisattva path.
Mm.
Once one has that clearly in mind, that this is the reason, this is the purpose of my study. Once that is clearly in one's heart, the reason for studying, then you can approach the Secret Doctrine either consecutively from page 1 to page whatever, or you can take up separate concepts, ideas that point in the direction of understanding the Secret Doctrine. I always think of an experience that I had many years ago with one of the deeper students of the Secret Doctrine, Jeffrey Barburka.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeffrey always wanted to begin with the second volume because it dealt with humanity. And yet when he wrote The Divine Plan, which is a marvelous work, I think, a very helpful work, he put it in terms of the doctrines that are presented through the Secret Doctrine. And he began with the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I had always said, one needs at least to read it through. Let it work inside you. You may not understand all the words, all the concepts that are being given, but let it work inside you. Then go back and use it as a reference. Or take a thread and follow that thread through the 2 volumes.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens at the macrocosmic level happens in one's life at the microcosmic level. But always in mind is the purpose, to be a lamp, a light to other seekers, those who are seeking the truth. And so one lives it, one is consumed by it. And that, I think, is what we have to follow. To me, the most important part, and the part I always start with in a class, are the 3 fundamental propositions. If HPB had given us nothing other than those 3 fundamental propositions, we would have enough for a lifetime. They point to service. They point to an understanding of the entire philosophy. That there is one immutable source of all. That's the first fundamental proposition. One immutable, non-changing source of all existence. That this appearance of universes is periodic. is cyclic. And one sees those cycles in terms of one's life, in terms of one's very being. And that there is a path, the essential doctrine, the pivotal doctrine of the Secret Doctrine. And she's clear on this. Admits no special privileges in man, save those won by his own effort and merit. We must deserve it. And how do we deserve it? This walking the path. How do we deserve it? By living the life. And she says later in the Secret Doctrine, at Volume 1, if you would come to the wisdom, you must live it. Your life must reflect it. Does it still apply?
Yes.
Is it still relevant?
Yes.
These are universal principles, these three propositions.
Mm-hmm.
She's not telling you to accept them. She's just saying, supposing this were so. That's what a proposition is.
Mm-hmm.
I propose that we consider it. And if nothing else had been given to us but those three fundamental propositions, particularly the last one, the pivotal doctrine of the Secret Doctrine, admits no special privileges save those that we win by our own effort and our own merit. By walking the path, we become exemplars to others who may be seeking. Yes, first and foremost is the development of one's own spiritual intuition. Brood over it, ponder it, live it, try it out, as it were.
Yes.
Does it fit you?
Mm-hmm.
So that then there are many aids. I mentioned earlier Jeffrey Barborka's The Divine Plan,
Oh, yeah.
which I still think is one of the most helpful works.
Mm-hmm.
Read as widely as you can and apply those three propositions to what you're studying, to any aspect of it. Well, I think that I do think that the greatest aid is one's own developing intuition. HPB is clear on this. These are not principles that she has given us. They're not principles that are outside us. They're within us. They're engraved in our very lives. Does it change your life? What has it done to you?
Mm-hmm.
Who are the adepts? Why is it called a brotherhood? And they refer to themselves as brothers. Because everything in the manifested universe is kin to everything else.
Mm-hmm.